Okay, so the question is, do we have a new uptrend forming on Bitcoin right now? I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to share with you guys my opinions because there are a few price levels we got to watch to, you know, identify early signs that we are done with this correction and we could finally start going up much, much higher. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin and then we're going to talk about Mara stock. But just remember, guys, everything in this video is just my own opinion. It's just what I'm doing and I like to share it with you guys. Please do your own due diligence. But you guys got to keep in mind too before we jump into this. I know let's just be very clear about something, right? Bitcoin has a limited supply. We're still getting there, right? 50% inflation rate every 4 years until it's done, and no more will be created. Like a long time from now. I think it's just about 100 years from now. But the thing is, if you have something that is becoming more scarce, and we still have inflows, and I'm not talking about ETF inflows. I'm talking about institutional inflow, money that's actually being invested in Bitcoin and with no plans to sell anytime soon, right? We have a ton of institutions, like serious large ones buying, and they continue to buy. So, with that being said, a lot of these dips we're seeing in Bitcoin are just not very sustainable once we reach a specific level. Because at that point, even though all these dips are higher than the previous, it is still not sustainable because as the Bitcoin goes higher and more serious inflows are jumping in, for Bitcoin, then every dip we see is it's going to be short lived for the most part, right? So what do I mean by that, right? If you guys remember earlier this year, before I jump into the short term stuff, the signs to potentially get this new, continue this uptrend. Um, if you guys remember back earlier this year, we had three deep value dips below 80K, and I said the same thing. And in the macro, there's a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear in the macro environment, but we still rallied, right? So, same right here. There was some fear. Everything was the same, and we rallied. What I mean by that is the reason I'm so confident that Bitcoin will rally higher and reach our next target of 128K is this, terrible inflation news that came out very recently is an external news factor. It's, Bitcoin's publicly traded. Everyone has access to it. Every company has access to it. So, they're going to trade it the same emotional way they trade pretty much the broader stock market and everything else. So when you have bad inflation news, it causes a dip. But if you guys are scared that the bull market is over, here's my opinion. If the bull market was over, well, we still have a lot of these serious inflows going in, right? And we still have anticipated rate cuts that will eventually happen. On top of that, well, the weakness we've been seeing in Bitcoin every time, like even back here, was super shallow. It was super controlled. Same right here. It's super controlled. So here's what I'm saying, right? So within this last the last two uptrends, right? We have this move up. Okay. And then we have another move up. This one was very shallow compared to this one. It shows that there's enough momentum to go higher. We were able to advise caution with this extension area for potential weakness because at the time, um, this yellow retracement was actually lower because I was still following the price higher. When we had this dip, we couldn't break the 0.5, and I said it doesn't matter. I said this in so many videos, but it doesn't matter how much optimism there is right now. Um, Things can easily change. In this case, it was an external news factor. We can have random news coming out, positive news, like it doesn't matter. But it allowed us to finally come down and break the 0.5 retracement. Ever since then, we're actually holding within this area quite well. We're still in a downtrend. So I'm going to explain to you guys what I'm looking for to confirm uptrend. But until then, until what I'm going to show you guys, until that happens, then I'm looking for lower prices to finish a much more like attractive short term, very discounted accumulation opportunity. So this red retracement right here is factoring in from this last swing low higher, just because this one, the pump up was a little too shallow. So I want to be more conservative with it. This move higher is being represented with the yellow retracement. But in order to see a lot of this fear, cause this short term value to just be very unsustainable, it can come down into this area down here in red from 108,000 to 115,000, right? So that's it. The 0.5 is going to be around 111K. I'm backing this up. I'm backing this area up by using an extension from the swing high down to the swing low up to this swing high right here, because we haven't been able to break this swing high just yet. We came down, we're holding support as of right now. This can be a good setup. I mean, this pump higher didn't even break the median line on the RSI. The dip lower just allowed the RSI to extend itself even more. So it's very, very possible that we can be looking at the low, but instead of just being hopeful, here's what I want to look at. So I've been keeping track of the price. We're going to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to remove this one. It doesn't matter anymore. So this is a simple retracement resistance from this whole move down. What this means is that the price, because this pump up was too shallow, it never even reached it. So this can just be a 3-wave move down within a bigger, first wave. If you guys like Elliott waves, we can then see a second wave up before we come down into the a very clear last minute buying opportunity for anyone that believes that the bull market is still alive. But basically, we can just see a pump up into the resistance retracement. This will be a very simple second wave, and then we can have one more low. It'll be fluctuative, but down into this area before we can, actually be healthy and set up to go higher. Now, there is some stuff to look at, and that is, well, this is quite aggressive. We're pumping higher. This inflation report that came out recently doesn't actually matter in my opinion. It's actually like it wasn't that bad in my opinion. I feel like it's very controlled. I feel like a lot of that information isn't right. I don't know, but it doesn't matter what I think. I still believe the uptrend is up. If we come down and if we come down and go into this orange area, it will allow the previous 0.5 at 110.7K to be broken. If we can come down into this area, we could get that 0.5 previous broken down here, the 107K area to get to 110. It can allow us to finally have that opportunity because it never filled here. So this opens up the pathway for that. And then I would like to buy another like 10 or 15K worth of BitU and bring the position up to like 85 or 90K invested at that point. I'll be really looking forward to it. But the thing is, when it comes to confirming an uptrend, it's quite simple. And these are just gonna be estimates, right? Let's say the price does pump. It pumps up and it goes to like 120.5, for example, right? So it does this. It goes up to roughly that price. That's estimate. What we're looking for is then a retracement, which will be, this is the estimate, the red one, for the price to come down, hold a higher low, and allow the price to extend higher, breaking over the blue resistance and making a new swing high from here. This will also create a very simple textbook head and shoulders or inverse, and it can be quite bullish. We're not very far away from 128K. So that's what I'm looking for. I don't care about the short-term noise. That's why a lot of these videos, pretty much all of them, are on the 1 hour candles. I don't care about short-term noise, but I'm more focused on value structures, like what the fibs tell me. So it's very possible that we could be looking at the low already, but we gotta have an uptrend form, breaking over this one, finding support higher than here, and then breaking over the swing high, and then that could be enough bullish momentum to reset the RSI for higher prices. But again, That's what I'm looking for. If we do hold resistance, so we have that new high from this swing high right here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if we break over this right here, that's fine. The idea is that we got to come down into the new estimate retracement I just gave you guys as a higher low opportunity. If that gets broken, there's a good chance we can just break below this and it would just be a much bigger picture three-wave move, right? So we had this first wave down, second wave overshot, and then we can just have a one more low, bigger picture, one more low down here, and then we can pump up higher. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm either going to accumulate down here, or we get that bullish little bit of a momentum forming there with the higher highs and higher low, breaking the resistance, and then it can create enough momentum to crush the orange resistance and just bring us up to 128K. If we do come down into this area, actually I would prefer that because it'll be much healthier on the bigger picture and it'll actually allow me to accumulate more in what I personally think are attractive prices. When it comes to Mara, same thing. You know, nothing has changed. I said in previous videos that we can trade within this area for quite some time, and any break up to the upside, we got to keep in mind that we have. I'm gonna change it a little bit. There you go. We have this resistance area to keep an eye on with this value gap, and there's actually some value gaps on Bitcoin right now. So this area right here, the resistance, overlaps with a very nice. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys. It overlaps with a very nice 1 hour candle value gap here, so that can act as resistance. And then same thing, we got like ones up here. This one shows up a little bit better on like on the 2 hour candles, but we have some resistance to break. But this can allow us to have, you know, and again, it would be represented with new retracement supports as we trend higher. But we go up, hold the retracement, go up into this resistance, hold the retracement, and then we can continue up from there. So it can look something like that as well. But yeah, as of right now though, price did bottom out above the 0.618 116.7K, which is the first primary support area in yellow. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on that. We'll see how the weekend goes leading into next week, and how the price changes. We'll keep track of it over the weekend. But now with Mara, it's simple, right? Mara has a lot of other factors I explained in previous videos that cause it to trade very differently from Bitcoin. But Bitcoin and the way it's trending in the prices is that, and this company constantly every day is making money from higher Bitcoin prices. So the idea of finding support within this bigger picture retracement, just like back here, just it's the same thing. It's the idea that there is anticipation, or at least future expectations, that their numbers will trend higher throughout the rest of this bull cycle, and then early next year with like the in Q1 when they report Q4 2025. Like, it's just the idea that a lot of that value has to be represented within the price. So right now we came down and we've been holding around that 0.5, so $15.68. We've been around this area for a while. If we trend up, we still have resistance, and then we can have a simple retracement to find a higher low and potentially break past this value gap and into the overall take profit area. But it's very, very important, at least in my opinion, that because there's going to be a lot of fluctuations, and we can see, I documented this in 2024, where we create this wide sideways channel that can last for a while. So if anyone is accumulating, like, below 16, for example, or even below 17, the moment we break up and even touch 18, or even 1750 to 18, it may be a good idea to start considering to shave your position, or at least lock in some profits, because the possibility of us having this wide sideways movement before a potential breakout is very, very high. In yesterday's video, I explained, if for the possibility of like random negative news happening, we can have an SL right here at the swing low, 1350. If that were to happen, if that were to get triggered, then I think I deleted it because it hasn't happened yet. But it can look something like this, where we have this Wait, hold on. That was a little. I think. Yeah, there we go. The possibility of the price coming all the way down and breaking below $10 once again. If that happens, oh, you know I'm gonna be loading up on Mara stock if it does go below $10. That's a no brainer for me personally. But as of right now, until that happens and we're still within an uptrend, the idea is that we're looking at potential accumulation within an overall retracement with the idea of prices going up to this overall take profit area. But until we can break past this value area, it's very likely we can trade back and forth from this resistance because of the value gap and a lot of the delay when it comes to their revenues and the assets they report on their um, that they hold on to on their reports. Like there's a delay factor test, so we can see a lot of fluctuations within this area. But a really attractive buying opportunity, in my opinion, short term sell until we have further bullish confirmation. And then once we do, this will be the area to look at. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.